So who am I making this for? No one. No one is making anything to anyone. That's an idea. And also it appears that the love that has been spoken about, that wasn't apparent like today before, but now it's suddenly just so obvious that everything is unconditional love. And even that term isn't really enough, or it doesn't cut it, or it's not appropriate. It's not unconditional love even. It's something prior to any concept. But apparently looking back in memories, there seems to be the capacity to look back in time, but it's apparent nobody's doing it. They're just empty memories, and it seems like empty intelligence appearing as the ability to refer to memory images and videos and ideas and understandings. So like, let's say like before today in the morning, when this apparent body, which is not a separate real body, started walking, there was this slight dissatisfaction. It wasn't verbalized. So there was the understanding that nothing helps really, and reactivity makes things worse. But that was already there's already a subtle reactivity in place when there's that sense of like subtle deadness or flatness or subtle darkness or something like that. It can be very subtle, and it can also seem like it's that things are kind of okay, and it's not necessarily noticed that something is missing, but something is definitely in some sense missing, even though it's not recognized. And then the body, this is all an empty story. The body went to like a modern shopping mall and went to a cafeteria, got some tea and sat down. And then there was this kind of a stopping or withdrawing from all the perceptions and all the mental chatter, so-called mental chatter, that, for example, Ariana, the non-duality, she's not a non-duality speaker, but she's someone who has spoken about these things. She has referred to mental chatter, which is the apparent voice in the head. In a way, it's also this voice speaking right now, but that voice can point itself out in some sense as being empty of speaker, empty of volition, like nobody chooses it, nobody does it. So there was just like there was no choice of being still, but there was just still awareness, noticing. Looking is not the best word, but somehow noticing, like totally neutrally, pretty much everything that arose that had to do with the creation, the apparent creation of the sense of self, sense of me, sense of personal history, sense of me as a body, me in the body, or like sense of separation, basically. There was noticing those, like, it's not only words in a way. It's not made of only words, even though all the apparent things that appear, they have to do with meaning, and the meaning it's false. The false meaning has to do with the I am here, and that is separate from me, or those things are separate from me, and I am here as the separate someone or something. I wonder if that's coming here. Maybe. So it can appear the so-called selfing in quotes, it can appear as, wow, this is so clearly paradise right now. It's somehow, the love is so evident, it's unbelievable. But anyway, and it's not about getting to this state or something. This just, I don't know how it has appeared, this appearance of unconditional love. But this appeared to appear, or this appears to have appeared, even when there was someone that came to sit opposite of this body and the eyes noticed it. There's some kind of an evaluation of what they mean or how they exist in reference to my person, my historical person. But that's false. That also like keeps up the sense of I'm this type of a person, this kind of a body, this age. And it would be preferable for certain kinds of people to relate to this body or relate to quote unquote me in a particular way. And when they don't pay the certain kind of attention that is expected, then there's like, this is grasping, so to speak, but it doesn't belong to anyone. The grasping is false, but it makes it seem like there is something wrong and there is someone separate there experiencing the wrongness of life. So then there's like the brain, so-called brain, evaluates the seeming actions that other seeming people make in relation to this body, this me, that is termed as me by, I don't know, the mind or whatever. The mind doesn't really exist. It's just a term for mental activity and the I thoughts and stuff. So it can be, the selfing can be so or subtle in a way that it can just look like it can appear to happen when somebody comes to sit across this body, and then there's suddenly the feeling they are there and I am here, but it's not there. There is no thought, like there is no language thought process behind it in that moment. But it's like somehow the intelligence is being used wrongly there in that kind of a case, for example. And I hope this is audible still. I'll wait a little bit. So the misuse, and nobody does the misuse, but the misuse of intelligence there is the perception of, and the perception is based on somehow on a felt memory of being a historical person that looks a particular way and should be treated or should be related to a particular way also, and that creates either a feeling of being pleased, which is false, or the feeling of being displeased, which is also false. Both are false because they refer to someone that does not exist. It's all an empty process. Everything is empty actually. Nobody's doing anything because there is no one. But yeah, so, but that can be noticed, that that sense that, oh, there's someone there, some other subject that has their own point of view, and they are somehow, now there's like imagination of how they are seeing me, but that's mere imagination that is appearing to the so-called subjective, the only subject that there is in experience, which is not actually real. That too is not real as a separate subject in time-space. So the sense of separation, and what else? Well, then there also can appear a subtle boredom or dissatisfaction in some other sense, and then that, if that goes unnoticed, that craving, sense of something being wrong and needing the sense of something missing, that needing to be fulfilled. So then the eyes, for example, start to look in the surroundings for something interesting or something pleasurable, for example. And that's craving and grasping as a separate entity at apparent perceptions that are seen as real and actual things that can soothe this sense of lack or satiate this sense of thirst. But that's also false, and that can be noticed. It can be noticed when that appears to happen in the form of thoughts, starting to think about something in order to figure something out or in order to try to get something, some result for me. But those thoughts are also empty. And it can also be noticed when the eyes start to look around in order to find pleasure, for example, or safety even, or something. But that can also be noticed as being totally empty from a doer. Nobody's doing it. And in that sense, that all is dreamlike. Everything is dreamlike. There are no separate people actually. It's a dream. Are there people in a dream? But I mean, this is not about believing some concept that it is a dream. But this can be noticed. All this can be noticed firsthand. It's the mind. Mind is not a synonym for a brain, but in this case, or in this example, let's say brain. The brain dreams up the sense of separation, and it dreams up the existence of other people and then somehow believes what it has imagined. It imagines other viewpoints, other people. That is not the actual experience, and nothing is really actual in a way. But in some other sense, I mean, all there is the actual. I mean, that's also contextual, depends on what kind of a pointer. I don't know how to say this one, but and when the words say I don't know how to point out this one, of course this is just conventional language and there is no separate chooser or a speaker here doing that as a separate speaker trying to point something out for someone else. There might be some subtle ideas about other apparent bodies or people who might need to hear this, but that is also empty imagination. So in that sense, this is not for anyone. These words are not for anyone. And somehow it can become evident, but I don't know how. In so-called my case, or there's no me in my case, and this is just empty imagination of a past. But for some reason the love is just suddenly revealed. Maybe it is due to the seeing that everything is truly empty, including the sense of lack, the sense of waiting, or the seeming activity of waiting. I mean, waiting is also an activity, waiting for fulfillment or something, or the seeming subtle fear of the sense that something is wrong and approaching and needs to be taken care of and belongs to someone. When all that is, and there's no seer as such, but when that is suddenly seen or noticed, there is a noticing, but it's totally empty. The noticing is totally empty of any kind of identity. There is no noticer. So when all these mechanisms are noticed and there's just total loss of interest in anything that the seeming person has considered as being significant or interesting or very important. Those just drop, the interest in those drop, and maybe then it just suddenly becomes evident. It's just unbelievable. It cannot be put into words, the love. And the term love, or the word love, is not even enough to describe it. It's more subtle than that. And it's more all that is than any concept can point out. But it's also more nothing or less than anything at the same time. It's more empty. It's emptier than anything that can be pointed out, or any concept of even emptiness. And it's not an it. It's unbelievable. There's no experiencer to it. But it's clearly somehow that term love seems to fit or resonate or whatever. Like that seems to be the best word for this. Oh yeah, and there's no like it's not some certain state where nothing is appearing. It's this already. So it's not some imagination, it's not some mental image about some empty sky-like space that appears after the body dies. I mean, maybe something like that appears, but in these moments that is just a mental image, and it doesn't touch the reality of the situation of the, well, it's not even a situation, and it's not even reality. I don't know. But yeah, that's about it.